Medieval forces are preparing to collide in the crusade for the East. Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another huge Medieval Kingdoms 12-12 online battle. Today we are diving in as the Lithuanians and their Sicilian mercenaries go up against the defenders of the HRE. We have the forces of Bohemia and the Teutonic Order. So this should be a very exciting battle, and we're taking a little break from Game of Thrones. I know I've been spamming you guys with it, and don't worry if you are a big fan of Game of Thrones, I'll be having plenty more on the channel in the next week or so. This week's actually jam-packed. I'm going to have a online battle with the Siege of King's Landing. I have a few other really cool videos planned, as well as finishing off our Night King Let's Play as well, as we're going to burn the world, or I guess cover it in ice, not necessarily burn it. But yeah, anyway, we are back in Medieval 12-12, and if you want to go ahead and play this mod, I'll be sure to link it down below in the description. But as you can see, the forces are getting ever closer to one another, so we'll just stick it on slow-mo really quickly, so we can get a good idea of what people are bringing and where, just solely because this battle is absolutely gigantic. I mean, look at it. The army stretched from one side to another, and they're like 4 ranks deep as well, so it's kind of crazy. We'll start off with the forces of Lithuania. On their front line, they have some of the Ducal Spearmen, which I believe have got a visual update recently, and they look great. I love this kind of going back and updating these older, more outdated units that have probably been in the game for some time. And this infantry looks awesome now. This really does give me the heavy infantry vibe for Lithuania, and I just love long spears as well in this time period. I think they're really cool. Then as we go back, we have some Lithuanian axemen. These guys are much lighter, but more of a shock infantry. And I believe they actually throw their javelins as well. And then at the back, we do have some Ducal crossbowmen, really late tier upgraded crossbowmen, which are kind of Pavese, but they have more of the Eastern European shield that Lithuania is known for. And they're going to be skirmishing off with the forces of the Teutonic Order. In the front line for the forces of Lithuania, they basically are just going to be equipped with these noble swordsmen. That's kind of their standard frontline force. They also have some heavier knights back here. Yeah, they have some dismounted knights as well, which are going to be kind of reinforcing them. And then obviously they're famous Lithuanian knights, which are not these. These are more of the other type. Yeah, right here. Is this them? No, these are the Sicilian Cavalry, so are they not... Where are the more of traditional cavalry I'm thinking of? Is it these guys? Yeah, I mean, kind of these guys, but I swear they have another upgraded unit than this. But anyway, that's going to be the Lithuanian army. Facing them off, obviously, we have the Teutons. On their front line, they're going to have some Prussian Archers. Not quite that Prussian discipline quite yet, but still deadly nonetheless. Behind that, we have some early spearmen, so they're going to get trampled by the heavier knights, which have been dismounted. We also have some Schwuterbruder. Again, butchered that, but hey, we'll roll with it. We also have the dismounted Ritterbruder. These guys are deadly. I mean, just look at their goddamn weapons. They are scary, and I would not want to face them. But then again, I guess no, that's why no one will remember my name. If anyone knows that reference, I salute you, sir. Let me know if you know that reference down below in the comments. So yeah, on their front line, we're going to have more of this heavier infantry and obviously spearmen as well. But by just looking at it, it seems like the actual main body of the Prussian army is kind of a bit underwhelming, and I think they might get washed away by the Lithuanians. Then as we make our way over to the forces of Bohemia, on their front line, they're just going to have more spearmen. These are actually the Pavese spearmen, so extremely tanky units from the front, almost impenetrable. They'll hold the line. If you need someone to hold the line, you call the Pavese. We also have some sergeants back here as well. The sergeants are going to be doing some decent damage. We have the Bohemian Knights as well. And then one of the more famous units that the Bohemians have are these War Dogs. And these War Dogs can do some crazy-ass damage. They really can. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. We also have some Pavese. And then finally, for the forces of Sicily, this is kind of like a mercenary Sicilian army. We have some of the spearmen on the front line. Their shields look a little bit weird. I'm not sure if this is a work in progress or not, or if it's just something that they want to get to, and maybe that's just what the shields look like, historically. Then maybe that is what they looked like. They just kind of look a little bit weird, like a little bit more like cardboard than wood. I don't know. But as we go back, we have more of these halberdiers, very deadly units with their their triple-pronged halberd. And then finally, we have the dismounted men-at-arms for Sicily, very deadly, and obviously their knights as well, the Aragonese bodyguard. And there is the general himself, looking very clean. So let's just get this battle started. I think there's a few cavalry skirmishes going off. Cavalry just charging the front lines, trying to break up the spear formation, because these spear formations are very thin, so the cavalry can actually penetrate them. If this is kind of one of the downsides of having your formation this kind of thin and long, is that cavalry can do a pretty effective job at just breaking through, and if you don't plug the gap, then they're just going to trample on all the men that they smash through. Whereas if you have much more of a dense wall, like maybe 4 or 5 ranks deep, the cavalry just literally cannot do that. They'll get stopped in their tracks and killed. But it's also kind of nice to let the cavalry break through, because you can quickly pounce your spearmen, your swordsmen, your own cavalry, and just wipe out a unit of the enemy horses, because these knights are so valuable and expensive. I mean, they're doing a lot of damage right now, but say, for example, if the Lithuanian player just then charged down his cavalry that he has here to catch these knights, they would have been killed, and they only would have lost a few units of spears to do that. We're getting another cavalry charge as well. I mean, look at this. It's like literally a rank deep, so the knights are going to be able to break through that. They're going to be struggling a little bit more on this second rank, and the Lithuanian player is learning from his mistakes, so he's going to be throwing in more infantry, basically just to act as more weight for the formation, which is obviously a really smart idea. You know, he's trying to just pour in more weight, stop the cavalry, get rid of that momentum, and then you reform. And this unit has kind of acted as a shield for this left flank, and they've definitely paid the price. But they have managed to kill a lot of cavalry, so I don't know if that's worth it or not. We'll have to see as the battle does develop. The Prussian Archers, though, are heavily focusing down these ducal crossbowmen, who are extremely heavily armoured, so they don't really take that much damage, and they're going to be returning fire on the cavalry that is fleeing. And I think the Lithuanians are going to be reforming up a little bit, trying to stem the gaps that have been created from that, you know, aggressive cavalry charge by the Teutonic Order. We also have some cavalry just chilling in the centre. I guess there's no archers here to punish this, so this cavalry is just kind of locking down this area. And over on the other side as well, we're having a missile off between the Pavese crossbowmen and also the crossbowmen from Italy with their Paveses. More infantry just pour through the front line. I guess we're ready to protect these guys to stop any cavalry charges. Ooh, and I'm interested to see what these war dogs do, because these war dogs can demolish whatever they come up against. Obviously, they're extremely vulnerable to missiles, but if they can get on the archers or they can get on the cavalry, they're going to do some serious work, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. The skirmish phase has been going on for some time now as the forces get closer and closer towards one another, but it seems like Sicily are going to be launching a pretty aggressive cavalry charge, and they might just about catch these cavalrymen off by the archers by themselves. However, the war dogs have been launched, and even under heavy missile fire, I think these war dogs are going to do some great damage to these armored knights, you know, ripping at the horses' ankles and dismounting these riders. You can see quite a few of them already going down, but this cavalry unit has committed to this fight, and they've actually got a really nice charge off here. They've managed to get onto the Pavese crossbows as well as the handlers. The handlers should go down without a fight, but the dogs are going to be what's really kind of sticking in their side. And the great thing is about the dogs as well is that they can actually keep up with a lot of the cavalrymen. You can see how fast they are as they just zoom across the battlefield. So they're going to be able to pursue these horses, you know, even behind enemy lines as they break through. But this fight is going to kind of initiate it for the battlefield. Yeah, this kind of cavalry charge is going to prompt both sides to really commit their forces, try and catch the other person out of position. And it looks like that Sicily have managed to catch this unit of halberds out of position, and this is great for them. Granted, the halberds are managing to turn around, but they've already lost half their unit to this charge, and the dismounted men-at-arms are going to be hacking away with these huge weapons that they have at their disposal. So, I mean, this is a pretty good exchange so far. They've managed to kill 40 of this halberdier unit, which is normally impenetrable. Now they can really start to wrap around, and if they want to, there is a pretty big gap here. They can try and sneak through some infantry, because halberds are very deadly from the front, but, you know, if you get around the side, they melt. We've also got some engagement over here on the Teutonic side of things as they are trying to fight off against the Lithuanians. I think we also saw some Lithuanian cavalry somewhere. I'm not really sure where, but yeah, I think we saw some Lithuanian cavalry break through here. But the fighting is pretty matched. The Lithuanians have only committed their axemen to this fight, and they're a pretty average tier axeman unit, so I'm sure these are actually archers mixed in with infantry. But either way, I'm sure they'll be able to repel the Lithuanians without too much issue. It's when they start advancing a lot more infantry. However, the Lithuanian axemen here have taken a lot of casualties. I don't think they've thrown their javelins yet. They'll throw their javelins as they get closer, I think. No, they're just going to charge in. That's fair enough. I thought they would give like a nice little Roman volley before they did commit to this fight. The axemen are a pretty good unit to try and break up this defense. I'm not sure how successful it's going to be just because they are so depleted and taking a lot of missile fire from the Prussian Archers. But I guess they're kind of just more of a tool to soften up the defense for these more elite spearmen to push up and really commit. Oh my god, these flanks are exploding right now into all-out combat. I'm so surprised that the front lines are still holding. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea for the forces of Bohemia just to commit to this fight and try and break through this gap to then envelop the aggressive forces. But also, vice versa, it seems like the Sicilians have broken through this gap, and if they are quick enough, they could quite easily, you know, open up a pretty fat gap that they could then get their cavalry through onto the back lines. It also seems like they are winning quite a few of these engagements as the Bohemian knights are charging into the rear of these heavy dismounted knights from Sicily. They're currently fighting with Pavis crossbow, which is great because they're basically nullifying the Bohemian missiles whilst their own missiles are still shooting, which is really what you want. However, they are easy pickings for the heavy knights of Bohemia. The HRE are committing everything they've got to defending these missiles. And I mean, the Pavis are still half decent at, you know, defending. They have them huge Pavis shields, so it's not like they haven't got anything to, you know, protect themselves. You know, this entire assault right here has just been completely taken out by the Teutons, and they are also committing some of their Ritterbruder into the fight. We can see some heavy mounted combat right now, and I mean, by the looks of it, the Teutonic Order are just heavily outclassing their opponents. Also, how many men are in this battle? We never actually looked. So yeah, pretty big battle. 20, almost, yeah, over 22,000 soldiers. That's not bad. That is not bad whatsoever for 4 factions. Pretty large engagement. And there we have it. Actually, I take that back. The Teutonic Order cavalry is going to be pushed off the map and routed. And this cavalry is immediately going to try and break through these defensive spearmen. Oh, they're forming up. They didn't form shield wall. They formed it literally at the last second. And because of that, the cavalry can just pour in. Granted, the Teutonic Order are coming in. And this is exactly what you want to do. Because most of the casualties from charging, I mean, oh my god, that unit got slaughtered. But a lot of the casualties from charging in these battles comes from when your unit pulls through and they trample the men on the ground they've knocked down. So if you can quickly block that hole with a unit of your own cavalry, you definitely reduce the casualties. And then when this cavalry unit decides to pull out of the engagement, which I'm sure they're going to do soon, they're going to take a lot of casualties because you basically lose all your armor, you turn your back to the enemy, and they have free will to strike you where they want. Over on the right hand side, we do have the Aragonese cavalry in the Sicilian force moving around this right flank, and it seems like these mercenaries have been well bought for sure from the Lithuanians. They have definitely looked to do this, and I'm sure Sicily are more than happy to undermine the HRE. A rear cavalry charge here as well. Oh, that is brutal. The Sicilians just absolutely demolishing that unit of, yeah, they just break. I want to see their numbers drop. Oh my god, look at that number just go down, and they just broke right away. I mean, yeah, a dense pike wall like that, getting hit from the back by heavy knights, stands no chance. And you're seeing the Bohemian line break right now. And that's going to kind of prompt the rest of the Sicilian forces to move up, because they want to try and keep as many of these infantry units in place. If they can keep the infantry in place in the center, then, you know, they're winning the flank, and then they can just move around once that flank is won and help out in the center. So they just want to engage these fights. You can see they're even bringing up some archers as well to do the job. Yeah, these archers are basically out of ammunition. Oh, these are Muslim archers as well. So these are probably from one of the sultanates in Spain. That's kind of cool because, you know, Sicily and Aragon have that tie. So it's kind of cool that they're bringing men from around, you know, around their lands. That's actually really cool to see that they have access to it. I think as well, when the campaign fully comes out as well, a lot of factions will have access to mercenaries, such as, you know, like the Swiss mercenary blocker towards the end of the game. And you'll be able to pick up these units. I imagine they're going to be extremely expensive. I wonder how they're going to, like, you're going to have to maintain them. If there's going to be any scripts for how many mercenaries you can do, and if they get more expensive. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down, but having the access to like being able to, you know, recruit. Maybe you don't have any good crossbows, so you recruit a bunch of Pavese crossbows from Italy, or, you know, a bunch of halberds from Italy or something. Be really, really cool. Maybe some knights from France. If only there was a way of like recruiting armies just full of mercenaries. That'd be so cool. Kind of like in CK2, where you just recruit an army. It comes, stays through, you know, a handful of turns, and then you can just disband it when you're done with it, and it goes back into the pool. It'd be really cool, especially for like factions like the Teutonic Order. Like maybe you're playing as Bohemia and you rent a Crusader army from the Teutons, you know, to go out and do your bidding. That'd be really, really cool. Anyway, back to the battle. We'll take a nice little bird's eye view of the engagement. As you can see, Sicily have just absolutely smashed through the right-hand side of the battlefield, and their cavalry, along with their infantry, are just quickly collapsing round. Over on this left-hand side, you have the forces of Lithuania trying to break through, but it seems like the Teutons are having a lot of success. They are committing some of their heavier infantry with dismounted Ritterbruder, which are going to have an easier time against maybe these Ducal Spearmen, who are kind of in a loose formation. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting battle. I mean, I feel like Sicily, if they can, you know, wrap around quickly enough, which they are doing, they've got a few marching columns right here. If they can march around and envelop the Bohemian forces, I think they've easily got this day locked down. But if the Teutons can win their side of things and rally quickly enough, then maybe the battle is definitely not lost. But only time will tell, I guess. You can see these spearmen coming around the back and enveloping the Pavese. I mean, it's a shame it's another unit of spearmen doing this, because they'll just kill the Pavese a lot slower. But enveloping them is a great idea. Yeah, I mean, these Pavese have not lost a man yet from the front. Now that they've been, you know, surrounded, it's going to help, and they're probably just going to break, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they're probably just going to end up breaking due to the surrounding. They're not going to break immediately, but when they start taking casualties, that'll pile on top. And yeah, I mean, look at this entire unit of heavy infantry, when it's completely surrounded by shock infantry, it just doesn't stand a chance and goes. So you have to really try and protect your flanks with these Pavese, because they're expensive, but, you know, if they can't hold their own, they're going to get hurt very quickly. And there we go, another cavalry charge coming in. That's a great way of breaking up these formations, and that's actually the Sicilian general as well doing that. And he's just going to go from one unit to another, hitting them in the rear and breaking up these formations. And breaking up these formations is very useful as well, because it allows the other infantry to kind of get its way in the gap and attack from the side. And that's another unit broken from Sicily. Wow, they are just demolishing this Bohemian battle line. And the Lithuanians are helping out in the center as the battle lines do duel together. And the Teutons are going to have to do something. But I mean, look at this huge force just amassing on the right-hand side. There is a lot of units now forming up on this side. I think there's a couple, there's a handful of infantry coming out of the woods, maybe back from routing, but it's far too late to save this flank. And they've even got some crossbow supports as well to help try and warn off the cavalry, which is a pretty smart move. I love the way that Sicily isn't getting way too overconfident. They know that if they overcommit to this flank, you know, try and just win it too quickly, this cavalry will punish them. So it's great to see that they're willing just to sit back, take their time, you know, clear up these pockets of resistance. You know, eventually these units will break after a bit of fighting, and then they can just move on to the next. You know, they've broken this left unit, so now they can advance forward their ranks a little bit, try and break this unit of spears, move on and move on. But I mean, it is only a matter of time until the Teutons are going to be, you know, up against it. They're fighting bravely against the Lithuanian infantry on the front lines. And that's one of the really fun things about the Lithuanians, I think, is that a lot of their infantry have javelins as well. So you can really hurt the enemy front line. You can break up their charge as they come in and whittle down their numbers, and then you hold that tight shield wall afterwards. It's a pretty effective way, you know, because their infantry is somewhat inferior maybe to more of the heavier knights. Well, especially like the dismounted knights. However, when they make up in, like, when they lack in kind of like armor, they make up in, you know, with them javelins and with that skill. And they're obviously a little bit lighter and faster as well, so they can flank really effectively. And the Lithuanian cavalry is great as well. I love the Lithuanian and the Hungarian cavalry. I think the Hungarian cavalry is probably my favorite though. Their shields just look amazing, they really do. Has this flank crumbled yet? So the flank has not crumbled, and we're getting cavalry coming in. We've got the Grand Master bodyguard right here, going up against the Lithuanian general as well. But I think he's just not supported by enough of infantry. Yeah, and that's exactly why he's going to try and get the hell out of there. We want to try and stave at the general, because that is like really the only hope for the Teutonic Order in Bohemia now, is that the Teutons can just clear away the enemy. And they're trying to do that by just hitting these flanks, trying to break them down. But I think this flank is going to be lost because these Ducal Axemen are deadly, especially just against normal spearmen as well, like of the early period. I don't think it's going to fare too well. These front lines are just kind of just like chilling. They're trying to pretend like they're fighting until the battle's over. Their brothers next to them, though, are fighting. In a pretty deadly engagement, if I do say so. Look at the bodies like piling up in the gap as well. That's brutal. Yeah, Sicily are just running amok right now. I mean, they're struggling to kill this cavalry, in fairness, and like, they don't want to be overzealous, so they're just trying to take these engagements where they can quite easily commit infantry to the fight. But I guess it gets to a point is if you want to kill this cavalry, you have to commit your own cavalry, right? And that's exactly what they're doing. Because I feel like they can commit their own cavalry to this fight, and then they can quite easily commit more infantry to this fight. And like, now they've tied down all of the Bohemian cavalry, they can commit the rest. They've also won that charge pretty handedly. And there you go, the Bohemian king is probably going to be slain on the battlefield very soon. I'll see if we can pick him out. He'll have a crown on his head. I can't quite see him, but I imagine his days are numbered. And there you go, he's routing from the field of battle. And then the other Bohemian knights have also been tied down, bogged down by the infantry now, as well as the cavalry. So the date is looking very dire for the Teutonic Order and Sicily. The Teutonic Order and Bohemia, especially now that all of these flanks have just crumbled. And as you can see, the Sicilians are now on the Teutonic Order. They're committing to this, and I guess it's only going to be a matter of time until they've broken down here. However, the Teutonic Order are here to fight, and if there is hope, they will look for it. We are seeing big breaks from both sides. Some of the front line for Lithuania are going, but the Sicilians are here. We do see, though, that the Teutons have managed to crush this right flank, so shout out to them for holding true. And even though the battle was looking bad, they managed to come around this flank, take a big victory, and maneuver around. But Sicily are just too strong. And right now, we can see that the Teutons are trying to fall back now. They realize that if they stay in this engagement in the center, they're going to get enveloped very quickly, and they are simply trying to fall back. I mean, this is going to be a prime example as this unit of infantry gets charged from the rear by heavy dismounted knights. They're going to come flying in that back and, yeah, cause some serious pain for that infantry. And, yeah, the rest of the Teutonic Order army is just retreating back. We're going to look to try and, I guess, kill these two units of brave Ducal spearmen holding the line, and then just form one last battle line to keep the enemy at bay as Sicily continue to maneuver around. Oh, whose general died? Very interesting. Oh, the Lithuanian general went down. What did he die to? Was he chasing down some enemy units or something? I think he must have. Yeah, he must have been chasing down an enemy unit or something, and then maybe got hit by a branch? Who knows? I mean, luckily it looks like their morale is still holding quite nicely. And wow, Sicily still have ammunition left as well, so they're going to be peppering away at this last stand. Well, this is pretty cool though. We do have the Teutons enveloping the Lithuanians who are still bravely fighting on. As more and more infantry comes colliding in. The Lancer power is pretty telling at this point in the battle. The Teutonic Order are outnumbered 2-1 now. Almost exactly 2-1. I mean, at this point in the battle, I think all hope is lost, if I'm honest. They'll make their final stand right here, though. And it's also pretty impressive that their Schroederbrüder are holding even to this point. I mean, they're about to break, but still, they've been enveloped for some time now. Especially getting attacked from the rear. The Lithuanians and the men-at-arms are just going to be, ripping through their armor, breaking up their formation, and then just, making them collapse in on themselves. The Teutons are not going to go down without a fight, and they're going to charge forward their archers, going in their buckler shields. and then the Schwaderbruder moving in afterwards to reinforce. This is causing quite a dysfunctional line though, so maybe the Teutons can take advantage of these gaps appearing in the battle line. But I just feel like at this point they're way too split. If we take a look at the overall battlefield, we can see that, you know, there's so many units kind of scattered around the battlefield. That is not looking good, and I believe that's going to be all she wrote for this battle. We just speed things up, yeah, we can really start to see the Teutons crumbling. But overall, that was a really exciting battle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this and you want to see more 12-12 on the channel, then first things first, join the Discord and be a part of these battles. The Discord link is down below in the description. Also, a massive thank you to Cassius who sent this in, and everyone else who played the battle. I really appreciate it. The more replays I get, the better. That's really awesome, so I am very grateful for the replay itself. And hopefully we can continue just to get these epic battles, you know, more custom maps, sieges is always great, especially scenarios. I love reinforcement battles as well as kind of battles with a bit of story to them, you know, when it's like so-and-so's reinforcing at 5 minutes, or, you know, the city must hold until reinforcements arrive. Stuff like that is really cool. Maybe even just like kill the general or king of the hill. Stuff like that is awesome to watch, you know, spices things up as well. But yeah, guys, if you are enjoying this, be sure to drop a like and a comment. You know, I tend to do more of the content that does, you know, gets more likes and comments. Regardless of views, if something gets a lot of likes, I will tend to do it a lot more, because you guys are telling me that you like it. So regardless of if it gets as many likes as another video, if it gets as many views as another video, as long as it gets more likes, I'm much more likely to do it. So just keep that in mind when you're on the channel. And there you go, a Pyrrhic victory. I mean, I wouldn't really call that Pyrrhic. They did lose a large portion of their army, but look at that. Sicily just going ham. Oh my god. Sicily absolutely ruining, only losing 2,000 of their 5,000 men. The Teutons as well did a great job on the battlefield, winning that right flank. It was just a little bit too late, and as you can see, the kills are racking up on the knights. Over 400 kills on the Bohemian men-at-arms, or the Sicilian men-at-arms. Pretty goddamn deadly. Over on the Lithuanian side of things, their general doing great, and obviously also these cavalrymen as well. Over 200 kills, pretty impressive. On the Teutonic side, yeah, their knights, 403 kills on these bad boys. The infantry just doing its job, I guess, but it just didn't do the job fast enough to win that flank and collapse on the Lithuanians like the Sicilians did. And then finally, Bohemia doing pretty good. I'm disappointed on these war dogs. I would have hoped that they would have done more after I hyped them up so much. But, you know, they did their best, and yeah, the Bohemians kind of just got crushed this time. But I'm sure in future they'll be able to hold their own. So if you guys enjoyed this battle, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.